Just a real quick video. This is a roundup for the Iowa Car Show 2025. For those of you that caught the last video, it's the first time in 38 years that I didn't go. The weather ended up being a little bit more spotty to the point where if it did have any kind of rainfall, it was over with within a few minutes. Nowhere near what the projection was for rainfall in the central Wisconsin. But in a previous video, it's kind of amazing that some of the individuals that actually went to the show, YouTube content creators that walked around the 4,000 vending areas, our local news reporter in Wausau, Wisconsin, did a clip of the Iowa Car Show from yesterday. So that would have been Friday. Guess how many cars showed up? Just over 2,400. Okay. Now, that might seem a lot, and it is for a community as small as Iola. But you understand that the old timer car show of the Iowa Car Show is a regional event, attracting individuals from all over the United States. 2,400 cars. Now, I did not get the report of what the car turnout was today, but transferring through other communities on this side of Iola, so Stevens Point, the local car clubs, all the members stay close to home. So in Stevens Point, you have to excuse me, I got the kids in the background. The Jack Stanza Racing Car Club, they had a car show today too, and it was jam packed. They had an event Friday evening for those going over to Iowa Car Show at the local Culver's restaurant. So they went as a group. Now that number might seem elevated, 2,400, right? Obviously, there might have been more during Saturday today, but I want to remind the individuals that over the last 38 years, the size of the show has always been more than double that amount. So even on the very hot and extreme weekends, throughout the history, the car show would attract 10,000 plus vehicles. 2,400 is peanuts compared to the amount of effort going into the show. Okay. Now, as a comparison, the Corvettes of the North used to carry out a car show right here in Wisconsin Rapids. They would accumulate at our local high school, go out on a cruise, end up at the Lions Park afterwards. The following day, they would have a car show either at the Lions Park or at one of the community government owned parks. The car cruise for Wisconsin Rapids, a community of 18,000, run by the Corvettes of the North. They no longer do it. Over the last 3 years, the Wisconsin Rapids car show has kind of dwindled down also with the numbers. Prior to 2015, the average amount of vehicles that came to the Wisconsin Rapids car cruise and show was over 1,000. Okay, much smaller community. Okay, once again, and there have been years where the car count has reached close to 2,000. I believe it was 1 year in approximately 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. We actually had 25 registered vehicles come to the Wisconsin Rapids car cruise. You have to excuse me. The year was when Wood County Rescue was asking for donations. So there was no entry fees to get into the cruise. It was donations to help our local first responders raise money to keep going because they were being threatened to cut within the budget. They raised over $10,000 just from the entry fees of individuals going into the car cruise. Approximately 2,500 cars. That's more than what the regional car show of Iowa car show has attracted yesterday, as of yesterday. Obviously, today I would expect, being the Saturday, there was a lot more. Did they break the 10,000 mark? Okay, so my last video wasn't any kind of negative thing towards the Iowa car show. It's just showing that the changing of times. There's a lot less individuals willing to travel or that are even in the hobby of restoring cars, keeping older cars, modifying cars. Okay, the group of individuals doing that is getting smaller. We also have an age demographic of individuals that were into the older cars. They're disappearing. The younger generations are not picking it up. The ones that are getting into the TV personalities with like the street outlaws, so on and so forth. There's a lot less coming from the other age demographics here in the United States. The economy has a lot to do with that. Um, Cost of car insurance, car maintenance, gas and fuel, um, all of that's adding up to the point where the industry, the performance or restoration industry, is getting smaller. It is only with life experience. Okay, almost being 50 years old now, things have changed, and we have to admit to that change. Does it still exist? Does the automotive enthusiasm still exist? Absolutely. But nowhere near to the rate of what it was years ago. So it was not any negative feedback to how the show was necessarily being organized. They just haven't adapted to the changing times. By the time they have grown the size of the show, the interest in those willing to do that kind of thing has gotten smaller. The changes were not made fast enough. Okay, so now is the show going to get smaller for next year? Who knows? With the more comfortable weather that we had this weekend, even between the rain showers, what is the total amount of spectators that went through the gate? With entry fees being $30. Okay, folks, I realize that inflation has impacted every single thing that we do. But in order to get in a car show to see 2,000 cars and 1,000 or 10,000 vendors, whatever it came out to be, was it worth $30 to get into it? Okay, and especially when you have to go in and spend even more money with inflated prices on their concessions. Folks, nonprofit organizations have forgotten that our population does not make as much money as they used to. There's less individuals interested in these type of hobbies. It's a dying breed. Okay? Admit the facts. So with the news broadcast tonight at approximately 10 o'clock, the same news broadcaster is going to be reporting on how today went with Iola, and they'll be announcing the total numbers for the 3 to 4 day car show swap meet. I do not believe that they registered any records as far as how many went to the show. It's that simple. That's kind of disappointing. Okay, it really is. It truly is an American pastime. It is something that only the older generations really understand. Driving cars that you had to drive. Okay, you couldn't necessarily push a button and say, hey, open this door or open this sunroof, or what kind of fuel mileage am I getting currently? Okay, that's the state of our automobile industry at this point. Less about hands-on experience and personalize your vehicle to where everybody's just driving the exact same thing. Okay, it's a sad state of affairs, and our Iola Car Show, sorry, tongue twister, is a reflection of what our society is going through. Lower count numbers. I'm assuming at this point, lower spectator numbers. Even with the increased entry fees, are they going to be able to continue to maintain those fees, attract less cars, less spectators, and keep the show going? Are the days numbered of when the Iola Car Show will come to an end? I'd be willing to bet within my lifetime, again, almost 50 years old, again, within my lifetime, the Iola Car Show is not going to exist. Something that our generation took advantage of and enjoyed. It is on the downward spiral. And it's not something that anybody can control. It's just part of evolution. No different than the race car that I'm looking at right now. Many hours of enjoyment out of it, but to the point where there is no classes anymore for that car to run. There's not as much interest. It's just a dying sport. Tracks are closing. Individuals are not choosing that as their main focus or concentration for entertainment. I'm going to close the video out with this. Like I said, another short one. How many individuals in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s would wake up on Sunday morning and either on cable TV or even analog TV used to tune into like Road and Track or Consumer Reports of vehicles and stuff like that. On Sunday mornings, they'd get up and watch Hot Rod Garage or West Coast Customs. It was a huge push through the mid 2000s. That was the peak of the performance industry. You had multiple part suppliers selling the parts that were being sold on the TV. Boyd Connington and his Customs. As of within the last 2 weeks, one of the last remaining TV broadcasts for engine rebuilding has closed down. Hot Rod Magazine is now deplenished to the point where it's, just a coincidence that you run into a store that carries a Hot Rod Magazine. I was just reminded to create this video because of a loss of another parts catalog, J.C. Whitney. They no longer exist. When literally 8 years ago, I rebuilt a 69 GMC pickup truck with parts and pieces from J.C. Whitney. They no longer exist. Things are changing. That was the point of the previous video. First time in 38 years, I realized that things are changing and we need to move on. What's the next big thing? What are you doing to keep that memory alive? Are you watching old movies like American Graffiti, Two Lane Blacktop? Okay, most of the generation of kids now have never even heard of that before. It's been replaced with Barney, Dora the Explorer, Minecraft, you name it. We have moved into the next generation. Admit it, folks. We've gotten old. Have a good one.